Hello everyone and welcome back to Rift News, the show where we read you all the League of Legends news while you play Hearthstone.
Well met.
This time we don't have a lot of Nexus posts, but we still have a lot of new stuff happening. So let's start with the more interesting pieces. Many of you most likely saw the newly released Swain teaser. It is a short introduction to the brand new story coming to the universe. This was later confirmed on Twitter by Laurie Golding, the lead narrative editor at Riot. And I have to agree with him on something. The voice acting is insanely well done.
I have the vision to see what others cannot. The monsters of today will be the heroes of tomorrow.
This makes me think that I was wrong when I thought that the voice we could hear on the official rune randomizer was a teaser for the new Swain.
Magnificent, exalted, majestic, marvelous.
These two voices are slightly different, so the new question is, who is the voice we can hear on this site? We also got a brand new cinematic for the new season titled The Climb. And I am super happy about this, because everything you can see in this video is following the storylines of these champions. Yasuo is being hunted for being a criminal, Taliyah going toward Xerath who is sieging the city Nashrame, Echo and Blitzcrank being the good guys of Zone, Illaoi finally turning on misfortune, and finally Lucian traveling into the very heart of the Shadow Isles where the ruination happened, and where Thresh warded his prison. I am really happy to see that Riot is tying these cinematics into the story, because making random scenes with random champions would be wasting a great potential, and we can definitely feel that with some of the very old pieces. PBE has started to very slowly round up its content. All the skins we mentioned in the previous news now have their own splash art. Gragas can be seen with the entire Arctic Ops squad, this includes Caitlyn, Varus and what appears to be Kennen. Warwick and Nasus were turned into holy gods, and Lux is just Lux being their queen and empress. Rakan and Xayah also got their splash art, and as it is a tradition with them, it is compatible with their loading screens, so they will always appear together. And speaking of loading screens, Riot is still pushing the idea of exclusive borders. You can most likely get these borders the same way you could get them during the project event, through hextech crafting using the lunar components. I think by now this is a very outdated way of acquiring them. You are basically paying extra for exclusive items you can see before you get into the game for like 15 seconds. Far better way of getting them would be through the new mission system. That way you wouldn't directly ask for money, but you would prolong the playtime, which very often ends up in more money for you. But that might be just my opinion. And the final note about this event: all the golden chroma skins for the old releases we saw previously are legacy. This means that all these chroma skins will become unavailable with the chance of returning next year. Note that they are marked as legacy and not limited, so they should be returning one day. Riot Meddler also made a couple of posts about some upcoming game changes. In the first post he talked about some changes to Sightstone and Vision. They want to turn the active ability of Sightstones into rewards. You simply get the wards as a reward for gaining a certain amount of gold with the support items. This would open up more flexibility for supports since they wouldn't have to burn their gold on it. He also included 6 related points to this discussion. Overall power level of supports after this change isn't intended to change. If this ends up being a noticeable buff or nerf to the position as a whole, we'll adjust things. Now, this sounds like a buff for my AP carry Bard. Suddenly I can keep more gold for power, but since most people don't play my Bard build, hopefully things won't change, unless he gets discovered. Goal is that Sightstone should still become available around the same time in lane. Amount of gold needed to complete the quest has been reduced as a result to keep that timing. We'll be moving the Frost Queens and Talisman actives onto new items, with a goal of finding costs and build paths so that they are accessible for both supports and non-supports. We'll be considering something like Face of the Mountains active for a new item, though aren't as certain about that one. Certainly possible there's a need for a single target-ish protective item, like that Knight's Vow, Mikael's and Locket don't meet. Active item CDR on an item might come back at some point. It's a decent concept for an item certainly, in terms of what sort of play it enables and the item choices it creates. Of course this would include CDR cap. And the final point, The support items won't give the Sightstone active on Twisted Treeline. For now at least, they'll continue to have their old rewards for Twisted Treeline instead. To support these new vision changes, Riot will also put vision score on the scoreboard. This way, players might even realize that vision is actually kinda important. Also, adaptive damage will have its defaults adjusted. Most champions are fine, since their first items usually decide whether they get AD or AP. But some champions, mainly tanks, sometimes buy Doran's Ring for sustain, even though they are AD champions. The new system should take the early items into consideration, so you won't have to play AP Yorick in the early game. In his second post, he talked about some partial updates that might happen in 2018. Some champions have really old elements, but they are quite some time of a full rework. And sometimes these elements are just updated randomly, since they don't require a lot of extra work, like updating champion textures or loading screen art. But sometimes there are elements that dragged along with the game since the very beginning. For example, Cho'Gath is still using the exact same spell effects. Those particles have 8 polygons. Even these critters you find around Summoner's Rift have more details. Meddler also mentioned that not all projects in 2018 will be visual, and that it is likely that some voiceovers will be redone. So I'm just hoping we get a new Mordekaiser and Malphite with today's filters and sound effects. Riot Games merch also made 2 posts. For those of you who ordered it, the limited edition Arity Mini started shipping this week. Also, Gentleman Nar will be going into Vault on January 31st. This will make him unavailable for quite some time. It also seems that the Ocean Week event is retiring. For those of you who don't know, this was a yearly event that brought the community of the Oceanic server together. Usually these events involved some kind of a weekly challenge where the players had to work together to achieve something. During the first ever event, 3 years ago, the final reward involved a massive Nautilus statue being dropped into the ocean in Moreton Bay. The summoner names of all the participants were carved onto the statue. Nautilus has now been down there for 22 months. The second Ocean Week's reward is still being worked on. It's a mural designed by the community and painted by a professional artist. It will be completed in Bondi, Australia in early February. And the reward for the third and final year of Ocean Week was naming 2 newborn Tasmanian terrors. The 2 names chosen are Zaya and Mechwolf the Destroyer. They call him Wolfie for short. Here's a video of Zaya exploring the Wings Wildlife Park. And now, let me quickly go through 2 Ask Riot posts found on Nexus. Is there a chance that control wards will ever get their own slot so you can buy them even when fully equipped? Riot Fearless answered this question very well. Basically they can't do that because the fact that a ward requires an inventory slot is a part of its mechanics. The later into the game you get, the less and less wards you'll see. Suddenly ward stones are really powerful and that's all you rely on. And that is a mechanic they don't want to break. Do you guys intentionally make changes to alter the meta? Riot Maple Nectar simply answered, no. Meta is always developed unintentionally. Usually a certain role is really powerful because of 1 or 2 picks and everyone starts to pick stuff against them. So if AD carries are strong, people pick assassins. Then assassins are powerful, so people start picking tanks. It's a cycle that moves on its own unless a big change hits the game. I have a question regarding HP bars. I quite enjoy the new style and accessibility of information they provide. However, I really miss the Killing Spree badges near the HP bar. Are they coming back? Riot Raven simply answered, no. Originally these little badges were supposed to show the players who's currently powerful, which would be great because there is currently no way to tell if a champion is fed or not. But in the end no one really noticed it in action. And I agree with this. Most people found out that a person had a killing spree after seeing the message in chat. And since people were killing whoever is the squishiest regardless of the reward, this feature was ultimately rendered pointless. Why does gifting and receiving gifts feel underwhelming nowadays? It used to pop a cool animation like BAM! Check it out, your buddy got you something. But now the message is hidden away in the notification tab. My friends don't even check their notification tabs. How will they know I got them a sweet skin? The short answer by Don't Hassle the Hoff and Pabro: The cool animations required longer initial loading, and that was a problem on older machines. When the new client was built, the priority was smooth running, so that had to be cut. With that said, they plan to bring back something similar in the future, when everything is running properly. Right now, Ohmwrecker isn't an effective choice in nearly any game of League. Is it possible that you'll take a deeper look at it and rework it at some point? Because the passive is pretty cool and it would be great for something like that to become meta again. This one was answered by Riot Soderay. Basically, the focus is always on items that affect the game the most. There are really powerful items that should be changed or tuned down, and those have to be dealt with first. And since the same team is also working on balancing champions, because players get attached to champions but not the items, champions will have a priority as well. So the only chance of Ohmwrecker becoming popular would be if Banner of Command and ZZ Portal got nerfed. And the last question, is there going to be a 2-for-1 rune page sale again? Definitely. We held off from having one of these for a while as we prepared for Runes Reforged. The next one we do will be with the return of Essence Emporium later this year. And that's all the news from the last 1 or 2 weeks. I quickly wanna mention that we released 2 new videos on this channel. A compilation of all the lore released in 2017 and top 5 weakest champions according to the lore, which I'm really happy to see you guys like. But that's it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, feel free to rate the video and subscribe for more lore and news. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Discord if you'd like to chat. Links to P.O.Box and merch will be in the description. Of course, special thanks to our Patreons for going the extra mile. You guys are the best. Like seriously, if Tina Turner started singing, I would shake my head and point at you. But with that, thank you all so much for watching and for your support, you know I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you come again.